Ladies and gentlemen, there is a principle that governs the strength and dignity of a woman, and that principle is wisdom with restraint. In a world where exposure is mistaken for transparency, I want to remind you today, not everything valuable should be advertised. Diamonds are not found on sidewalks. They are buried deep because value is hidden. The same is true of a virtuous woman. The power of mystery is one of the most underestimated forces in human relationships, especially when it comes to attraction. Mystery is not about playing games or being manipulative. It is about understanding the natural law that what is concealed has more value than what is constantly exposed. In ancient times, things of great worth were hidden, protected, and often only revealed to those who had proven themselves trustworthy. This principle still holds true today, especially in how a woman carries herself in the context of relationships. A woman who understands the value of mystery does not feel the need to explain every part of herself immediately. She doesn't rush to disclose her fears, her dreams, her past pains, or her future plans to someone she barely knows. Instead, she understands that withholding certain things is not deceit. It is wisdom. It is knowing that the soil must be tested before the seed is sown. This means a man must show consistency before he is granted access to the deeper parts of a woman's heart, mind, and soul. That process of gradual revelation creates curiosity. Curiosity breeds interest, and interest, when properly nurtured, leads to admiration and eventually respect. Mystery also protects a woman's dignity. When everything is out on the table too soon, there is little left to wonder about. Humans are wired to pursue, to explore, to discover. When a woman gives away all the answers without being asked the right questions, she's short. So it's the natural pursuit that creates genuine attraction. It is not about withholding affection or being distant. It is about recognizing that revelation must follow evaluation. When a man is still trying to decide if he wants to commit, he should not be given the benefits of intimacy, whether emotional, mental, or spiritual, that are meant for covenant relationships. This restraint does not devalue the woman, it enhances her worth. It sets her apart from the crowd. Mystery also enhances identity. When a woman holds back certain details about herself, not because of fear but because of discernment, she maintains control over her narrative. She doesn't need validation from another person to confirm who she is. She knows her value and understands that the right people will be drawn to her not just because of what she reveals, but because of what she wisely reserves. Her life becomes a story told one chapter at a time, and each chapter builds upon the last with intention and purpose. This kind of unfolding creates depth, and depth in relationships is magnetic. This principle also applies to the way a woman presents herself in her speech, her body language, and even her digital presence. When everything is shared online, the emotions, the conflicts, the vulnerabilities, there is nothing left for the relationship to uncover. Attraction is not only about beauty, it is about wonder. It's about leaving room for the imagination to engage, for curiosity to take root. That wonder is killed when everything is exposed too soon or too easily. Some things should be discovered through time, through effort, through intentional relationship building. That journey creates value. A woman who understands the power of mystery does not confuse it with silence. She communicates, but she does so with wisdom. She shares, but not out of desperation to connect or fear of losing attention. She knows that the man who is truly interested will ask, and the man who is truly worthy will wait. And when the time is right, she reveals, not to impress but to invest, because when she finally opens up, it means something, it has weight, it has meaning, it's not just information, it's invitation. An invitation to truly know her. Emotional self-control is one of the most powerful yet undervalued traits a woman can possess. In a world that encourages instant expression and emotional outbursts, the ability to govern one's emotions is a mark of inner strength and maturity. It is not about suppressing feelings or pretending to be unaffected. Rather, it is about managing emotions in a way that honors both oneself and others. A woman who can feel deeply yet remain composed is a woman who commands respect and attention without demanding it. Emotions are a gift. They provide depth, color, and connection to our human experience. However, when emotions are uncontrolled, they can become a liability, especially in the early stages of a relationship. A woman who gives unrestricted access to her emotional world too soon often finds that the very transparency meant to build connection ends up overwhelming or repelling the other person. Men by design are wired to pursue, to analyze, and to observe. When a woman reacts too quickly or shares too much emotionally before trust has been established, it can create confusion or even discomfort. Emotional control, in contrast, creates stability. And stability in the realm of relationships is deeply attractive. There's a difference between being honest and being emotionally impulsive. Honesty is rooted in self-awareness and clarity. Impulsiveness is often driven by unresolved wounds and fear of rejection. A woman with emotional self-control has done the inner work. She knows her triggers. She understands her patterns. She doesn't need every emotion to be validated by someone else in order to feel whole. Instead, she creates space between her feeling and her response. That space is where wisdom lies, and that wisdom becomes her strength. A woman who lacks emotional self-control may unintentionally sabotage meaningful relationships. For instance, constantly needing reassurance, reacting defensively to small issues, or becoming emotionally dependent too early can create tension and drive people away. It's not because she is unworthy of love or too emotional. It's because her emotional world is unfiltered and unguarded. Emotions are meant to be shared, but not spilled. They are meant to draw someone closer, not drown them. Self-control ensures that emotions are shared with timing, discernment, and intentionality. When a woman controls her emotional energy, she also protects her peace. Not every battle deserves a reaction. Not every offense requires a response. Silence at times is more powerful than speech. There's a quiet strength in a woman who chooses not to retaliate, not because she is weak, but because she is wise. She knows her worth. She knows her boundaries. She refuses to let temporary emotions lead to permanent damage. Her peace is non-negotiable, and she refuses to hand it over to circumstances or people who have not earned her trust. Emotional self-control also plays a critical role in communication. The ability to listen without interrupting, to speak without attacking, and to express needs without manipulation shows a level of maturity that draws others in. Emotional self-control transforms conflict into conversation and disagreement into understanding. A woman with this skill doesn't avoid confrontation, but she approaches it with grace and clarity. Her emotional steadiness becomes a safe space for others, and that safety becomes a powerful point of attraction. This level of control does not come naturally to everyone. It requires discipline, reflection, and sometimes healing from past wounds. A woman who invests in emotional maturity is not only preparing herself for healthy relationships, she is cultivating her own internal peace and personal power. She is not led by feelings alone, but by purpose. Her emotions serve her, they do not rule her. They are passengers, not drivers. She understands that attraction is not sustained by beauty or charm alone, but by emotional consistency and integrity. Personal standards and values are the internal compass of a woman. They define who she is, what she accepts, and how she navigates relationships. When a woman knows her values, she carries herself with a sense of dignity and direction. But what many fail to understand is that these standards are most powerful when they are not loudly announced but quietly upheld. A woman does not need to advertise her boundaries. Her lifestyle, her words, her choices, and her presence will reflect them without explanation. The moment a woman feels the need to over-explain her values to be accepted, she has already begun to negotiate her worth. There is strength in restraint, and there is clarity in quiet confidence. When a woman meets someone new, There may be an urge to quickly declare what she wants, what she won't tolerate, and how she expects to be treated. While honesty is important, timing and context are equally vital. Standards lose their impact when presented too early or too aggressively. Instead of inspiring respect, it may provoke resistance or create pressure. The wisest approach is to let standards reveal themselves naturally through interaction. When a woman carries herself with poise and intention, the right person will see the lines she doesn't cross, the values she upholds, and the level of respect she expects, without her having to write them out like rules on a wall. True standards are not just statements, they are actions. It's easy to say what you believe, but it's far more powerful to live it consistently. A woman who values herself doesn't have to threaten, demand, or perform to be seen. She sets the atmosphere by her consistency. She declines what doesn't align with her principles, and she does it without drama or explanation. This silent integrity filters people without confrontation. The wrong people will walk away, and the right people will draw closer. That's the power of hidden values. They act as quiet guardians. In the early stages of attraction, many women feel the pressure to share their beliefs, dreams, and expectations all at once, hoping to be fully understood or accepted. But real understanding is built over time, not in one conversation. It is important to remember that disclosure should be earned, not given. A man who is truly interested and serious will observe, ask, and invest the time to learn what matters to you. When you hold your values with quiet strength rather than vocal insistence, you create space for genuine curiosity. That curiosity fosters deeper connection, and that connection, if rooted in truth, can develop into something meaningful. A woman's values also protect her from settling. When she knows who she is and what she stands for, she is not swayed by charm or external validation. She is anchored, and that anchor keeps her from drifting into relationships that do not serve her purpose or align with her destiny. The world may call her selective or even difficult, but she understands that her standards are not barriers. They are filters. They are not meant to keep people out, but to protect what's within. The more sacred her values, the less public they need to be. What is sacred should not be argued, it should be lived. When a woman shares too much too soon about her standards, she risks giving someone a blueprint to fake compatibility. People can pretend for a while when they know what to mimic. But when standards are revealed gradually through real-life choices, it becomes impossible to fake alignment. Those who are only interested in temporary satisfaction will lose interest. Those who are serious will stay, not because of what was said, but because of what was consistently shown. A woman who understands this principle walks in quiet authority. She doesn't rush to be known. She allows herself to be discovered, and that kind of discovery leaves a lasting impression. Every woman carries a story, a collection of experiences that have shaped who she is, both the joyful and the painful. The past, while it can be a source of wisdom and strength, must be handled with discernment, especially in the early stages of building a relationship. One of the most critical aspects of maintaining attraction is understanding that the past is not meant to be a doorway left wide open for every person to walk through. It is a private chamber, and only those who have earned trust and demonstrated emotional maturity should be invited into that space. A woman who shares her past too quickly or too freely often risks handing sensitive parts of herself to someone who has not proven they will handle them with care. There is a difference between being open and being exposed. Openness is intentional and thoughtful, while exposure is impulsive and often driven by unresolved wounds. A woman who has not yet processed her emotional history may feel the need to disclose it early, hoping it will build trust or foster connection. But what actually happens in many cases is that this premature vulnerability creates discomfort or even a sense of emotional weight that the other person is not prepared to carry. People are naturally drawn to strength, and while authenticity is vital, strength is not found in broadcasting pain but in demonstrating healing. When a woman speaks too soon about past heartbreaks, betrayals, or traumas, she risks reframing her identity around those experiences. She may not intend to, but the person she is opening up to may begin to see her through the lens of her past rather than the fullness of who she is now. This does not mean that the past should be hidden indefinitely or denied. It means it should be revealed in layers, at the right time, and with the right person. Attraction is rooted in discovery. When everything is laid bare too quickly, it removes the depth and pace that allow intimacy to grow naturally. Healing is a personal responsibility. A woman must ensure that her past does not bleed into her present interactions in a way that clouds judgment or creates unfair expectations. If past wounds are still open, they may manifest as overreactions, trust issues, or emotional volatility. These patterns can sabotage promising connections, not because the woman is unworthy of love, but because the emotional environment becomes unsafe or unpredictable. Emotional safety is foundational for attraction to evolve into meaningful connection, and it begins with self-awareness and emotional stewardship. A healed woman knows her story, but she is not controlled by it. She chooses what to share, when to share it, and with whom. She understands that her past is not a confession to be made, but a testimony to be respected. In the right season, with the right person, her story becomes a bridge to deeper understanding. But before that time, it must be guarded. Emotional transparency is sacred, and sacred things should not be distributed casually. Maintaining attraction is not about pretending the past never happened. It's about showing that the past has been processed, and that it no longer defines present behavior. When a woman can speak about her history with calmness, clarity, and confidence, it signals emotional maturity. That maturity is attractive because it shows she has taken ownership of her growth. But before those conversations take place, the foundation must be strong enough to hold them. Not every man deserves to hear the backstory before he's committed to being part of the journey. Wisdom is knowing the difference between timing and trust, and choosing to share not from desperation, but from discernment. Financial independence is a silent strength that many women possess, and when it is carried with grace and wisdom, it becomes an undeniable point of attraction. A woman who is financially independent understands that her value is not measured by how much she earns, but by how she manages what she has. She does not flaunt her success or use her income as a way to prove her worth. Instead, she moves quietly with confidence, allowing her stability and discipline to speak on her behalf. Her lifestyle reflects intentional choices, not impulsive spending or performative wealth. This quiet self-sufficiency is not only attractive, it is powerful. There is a temptation in some women to use financial strength as a shield or as a statement, especially when entering into relationships. It becomes a way to protect against being taken advantage of or to establish dominance in a world that often undervalues feminine contributions. But true power does not need to be announced. When a woman truly understands the weight of her financial independence, she does not need to bring it up as a credential. She allows it to reveal itself through how she lives, how she plans, and how she prioritizes. Her sense of control over her resources sends a message that she is whole, not waiting to be rescued, and not easily impressed by superficial displays. Financial independence also brings with it a certain level of discernment. A woman who handles her finances with wisdom will also expect that same level of responsibility in a partner. She is not looking for someone to provide what she already has. She is looking for alignment, not dependence. She knows that partnership is not about who makes more money, but about who brings more balance, more support, and more shared vision. She is not intimidated by a man's success, nor does she feel the need to diminish her own. There is no competition, only clarity about what kind of life she is building and who fits into that vision. Some women fall into the trap of thinking that financial independence must be used as leverage in relationships. They may feel the need to mention their career achievements, investments, or business ventures early on to gain respect or avoid being underestimated. But genuine respect is not demanded. It is earned through consistency and humility. A woman who truly knows her worth financially does not need to position herself as superior or self-sufficient to the point of isolation. She is confident in what she brings, and she does not fear being seen as vulnerable because she knows her foundation is secure. When financial independence is wielded with wisdom, it creates space for genuine connection. A woman who is not financially desperate will not be emotionally desperate. Her choices are not driven by survival, but by intention. She has the freedom to choose a partner based on values, purpose, and mutual respect, not provision. This changes the dynamic of the relationship. It removes pressure. It allows both individuals to show up as whole, capable, and ready to build something together without hidden agendas or power struggles. There is also an elegance in a woman who doesn't advertise her financial strength. She is not trying to impress, she is simply living well. She knows that real wealth is not in how much is spent, but in how wisely it is managed. Whether she's investing, saving, giving, or spending, she does so with thoughtfulness. She understands seasons, she plans for the future, and she refuses to allow money to control her emotions or dictate her decisions. This discipline is rare, and when a man sees it, he recognizes the depth of her strength, even if she never says a word about it. A woman's vision for her life is one of the most powerful things she can carry, yet it is also one of the most delicate things to protect. Vision is not just about goals or ambitions, it is about purpose, direction, and legacy. It is the internal picture of the future that guides her decisions, shapes her relationships, and determines what she gives her time, energy, and heart to. A woman who understands the weight of her vision does not share it casually. She does not place it in the hands of someone who has not shown they can steward it with care and understanding. Her vision is sacred, and sacred things require protection. In the early stages of getting to know someone, it can be tempting to lay out the entire map of her dreams, thinking that openness will lead to acceptance. She may believe that sharing everything about her purpose, her future plans, her desires for career, family, ministry, or impact will help the other person see her clearly. But premature exposure of vision can invite premature criticism or manipulation. Not everyone is equipped to understand or support what she carries. Some will hear her vision and try to reduce it. Others may attempt to redirect it for their own benefit. Still, others may pretend to support it just to gain access to her life. This is why a woman must guard her vision, not from a place of fear, but from a place of wisdom. Vision requires alignment. A woman cannot walk in agreement with someone who does not share or respect her direction. But alignment is not tested by what someone says in response to a vision. It is tested by how they live, what they prioritize, and how they treat purpose. A man who is truly aligned will not need to be impressed or convinced. He will recognize the weight of what she carries and seek to walk beside her, not in front of her or behind her. Sharing vision too soon can create a false sense of partnership, where words sound right but actions prove otherwise. It is better for vision to be revealed gradually, as character and consistency are observed over time. A woman's vision also determines her boundaries. She knows what she cannot entertain because it does not fit where she is going. She knows what conversations are distractions, what relationships are detours, and what habits are destructive to her destiny. When she shares her vision too freely, she may find herself needing to defend it or explain why she cannot settle for less. But when she keeps it close, only revealing it to those who have earned her trust, she moves in quiet power. She is not easily swayed by charm or surface-level compatibility because she measures everything against her assignment. There is a grace that comes with restraint. A woman does not have to announce her calling in every conversation. She does not have to convince someone that her dream matters. Her actions, her choices, and her focus will speak for her. The right people will recognize it, even if she says very little. The wrong people will be uncomfortable with her direction, even if she tries to explain it. Vision has a language of its own, and only those with a similar frequency can truly hear it. When a woman walks with vision, she carries herself differently. Her time is guarded. Her conversations are intentional. Her relationships are chosen, not random. She is not driven by trends or public opinion. She is anchored in something deeper, something divine, and because of that, she is not in a rush to be known or understood. She allows the right people to discover the depths of her purpose at the right time, in the right season, through the right process. She trusts that her vision is not only valid but valuable, and to truly maintain lasting attraction, a woman must embrace the power of wisdom, knowing when to reveal and when to withhold, when to express and when to hold steady. Attraction is not merely about surface charm or fleeting emotions. It is about the deeper currents of mystery, emotional mastery, unshakable standards, guarded history, quiet strength, and sacred vision. When a woman cultivates these qualities, she does more than draw attention. She commands respect and inspires genuine connection. The secret lies not in what is openly displayed, but in what is carefully preserved, honored, and revealed in due season. In that balance, she becomes an irresistible force, whole, powerful, and profoundly attractive, not because she seeks to impress, but because she understands her true worth and moves confidently in her purpose.